Stargates, once thought to be the stuff of science fiction, may in fact be remnants of a forgotten reality. Stargates are advanced devices, capable of bending space and time, connecting distant points in the universe with a single step. Known by many names across cultures, a Stargate is said to be a portal, not of human design, but of cosmic origin. Unlike any known technology, they defy physics, offer instant transportation across the stars, and perhaps even through time itself. The idea isn't confined to modern fantasy. It's found in the mythologies of the Egyptians, the Mayans, the Incas, and the Mesopotamians. Again and again, we find stories of gods descending from the sky or returning to the heavens through sacred gateways. These weren't just metaphors. They were memories of encounters with advanced beings and technologies indistinguishable from magic. Hollywood mainstreamed the concept with the 1994 film Stargate and its TV successors. But the inspiration didn't come from fiction. It came from archaeology, myth, and the ancient astronaut theory. At the heart of many of these stories are the Anunnaki, the gods of the Sumerian pantheon, beings said to have come from the stars and to have ruled the earth through divine knowledge and technological supremacy. The Epic of Gilgamesh hints at such technology. So do Babylonian legends. Even King Nebuchadnezzar II, some believe, may have possessed access to these celestial gateways. Millennia later, whispers began to surface that a Stargate, possibly dating back to Nebuchadnezzar's reign, had come into the possession of Saddam Hussein. Saddam was obsessed with Babylon. He saw himself as the modern reincarnation of Nebuchadnezzar, and he made sure the world knew it. In Babylon, he oversaw extensive reconstruction projects, massive stone structures, ancient ziggurats, and palace ruins brought back to life. Bricks were stamped with his name, just as Nebuchadnezzar had done. Babylon, he declared, was rising again. For Saddam, this wasn't just political theater. He believed he was continuing the legacy of the ancient king. And during these restorations, it's rumored that something was found, something buried beneath the ziggurats of Sumer, a Stargate. Alongside it, according to sources, were caches of Anunnaki technology, including something resembling a resurrection chamber, a device capable of defying death itself. These were not relics, they were weapons, tools of immense power, far beyond anything in modern arsenals. Saddam's ambition, some believe, had grown beyond earthly conquest. He now sought to wield the power of the gods to rewrite the destiny of human civilization. And this may have been the real reason for the war. In 1998, during Operation Desert Fox, a mysterious UFO was filmed over Baghdad, captured by CNN cameras. In 2002, a caller to Art Bell's late-night radio show claimed that a UFO had crashed in Iraq 4 years prior. The US, the caller said, feared Saddam was reverse engineering alien technology. He claimed the military was desperately looking for a public pretext to invade. Before Saddam could unlock the secrets of zero-point energy, gravitational weapons, and interstellar travel. This, the caller warned, is Iraq's Roswell. In the 1950s, archaeologists from Cambridge and the University of Chicago excavated ancient Sumerian ruins near the Little Zab River. In a place called Zazi, deep in Kurdish territory, they uncovered Neolithic sites dating back to 10,000 BC. Local legends spoke of star beings, giant scorpions guarding palaces, and underground temples sealed by the gods. A limestone cliff in Zazi bears a strange painting, one of a Sumerian prince worshipping an Anunnaki deity, with an 11-pointed star shining behind the throne. Some believe it marks the entrance to an ancient alien base. Reports even emerged from Soulmania markets, rumors that Saddam had struck a deal with otherworldly visitors, that he had offered them refuge beneath his summer fortress, Kalat Jundi, in exchange for weapons, knowledge, and power. The valley was said to be protected by genetically engineered scorpions, guardians bred in the labs of another world. Saddam's reconstruction of Babylon, his obsession with Nebuchadnezzar, his alleged discovery of a Stargate, and his defiance of global powers all converge into a chilling possibility. The Iraq War wasn't just about oil. It wasn't just about WMDs. It was about something buried, something old, something not of this earth.
In the Bible, in the book of Daniel, Nebuchadnezzar, king of kings, ruler of the greatest empire on earth, commands the construction of a towering golden image, 90 feet tall, a symbol of divine power and of total obedience. He issues a decree. When the music plays, every man, woman, and child shall fall and worship the image, and whoever does not shall be cast into a furnace of blazing fire. But 3 men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, refuse. They are brought before the king, and they do not beg. They do not kneel. So Nebuchadnezzar orders the furnace stoked 7 times hotter than normal. The flames are so fierce they kill the soldiers tasked with throwing the men inside. But what happens next is unexplainable. The 3 men stand unharmed in the center of the fire, and they are not alone. A 4th figure appears beside them. The guards fall back in fear. Nebuchadnezzar himself rises to his feet. He asks, "Did we not cast 3 men bound into the fire? But I see 4 unbound walking in the flames, and the 4th looks like a son of the gods, not a metaphor, a presence. Some say it was divine protection. Others say it was a transfer, an activation, a moment where the laws of nature gave way to something far older, a Stargate event." Nebuchadnezzar's obsession with the heavens was not symbolic. He believed the gods came from the stars, and he believed he could bring them back. His inscriptions speak of Marduk not as myth, but as commander, a being who established stations in the sky and opened gates on both sides. References that some scholars believe point to Nibiru, the crossing place. According to the Enuma Elish, Marduk defeated Tiamat and built the architecture of the heavens, anchoring divine points in space, opening channels between realms, and Nebuchadnezzar rebuilt those points: the Ishtar Gate, the processional way, the Tower of Babel. These weren't symbols, they were interfaces. And when Saddam followed in his footsteps, he wasn't rebuilding a city. He was reawakening a system, following the blueprint of a gatekeeper.
September 2016. Iraq's transport minister, Kazem Finjan, stands before the media in Dakar, a place steeped in the echoes of ancient history. He says something no one expects. He claims that 5,000 years ago, the ancient Sumerians built the world's first airport, and it wasn't just for terrestrial flights. According to Finjan, this site connected Earth to the stars.
وربما حتى قسم كبير من الناس اللي في محافظة ديقار لا يعلمون أن أول المطارات التي أنشئت في كوكب الأرض قبل 5000 سنة قبل الميلاد أنشئت في ديقار. واللي ما يصدق يقرأ كتاب المؤرخ الكبير المتخصص في الدراسات السومرية زكريا سينشن، أو يعود إلى كتب صاموئيل كريمر، أو يعود إلى الكتاب الذي ألفه أجي ويلز حول هذا الموضوع، والذي يحمل عنوان باللغة الإنجليزية History Begins from Sumer. التاريخ يبدأ من سومر. كان يتكلم عن أولى المطارات التي أنشئت في كوكب الأرض، أنشئت في هذا المكان. إن هذا المكان هو أأمن مكان تهبط فيه الطائرات وتقلع منه الطائرات، لأن هناك بعض المؤثرات الجوية التي تثقل تحركات الطائرة وتحد من مناورتها غير موجودة في مطار ذي قار. يعني في مش مطار ذي قار، في كل أجواء ذي قار أجواء آمنة للطائرات، ليست فيها أي مؤثرات جوية سلبية. كل ما يتوفر في أجواء ذي قار هو أجواء إيجابية، بمعنى أن السومريين لما استقروا في هذه الأرض كانوا يعلمون تماما أن هذه الأرض بأجواءها هي أجواء ملائمة للتحليق في الفضاءات، وكان من هنا تنطلق المركبات الفضائية السومرية نحو الكواكب الأخرى. والسومريين أول من اكتشف الكوكب رقم 12 الذي اعترفت به وكالة نازل الفضاء قبل بضعة أيام، والذي أطلقوا عليه نيبيرو، ويدور حول الشمس ب 3600 سنة كله.
The media response was immediate. Laughter. Dismissal. Why would a sitting minister bound by the rigors of public service suddenly veer into tales of space ports and star travelers? Was it a desperate attempt at attention? Or was Finjan pointing to something forgotten by history or deliberately erased? Not long after his declaration, Kazem Finjan's career began to unravel. Officially, his charge was corruption. Accusations of tampering with government contracts and mismanagement, culminating in a prison sentence handed down in absentia. And then, he vanished. Was Finjan's undoing the result of political missteps? Or had he crossed a line that powerful forces would not allow? As of November 2024, Finjan was sentenced to an additional 3 years in prison for violations related to government contracts. His exact location remains unknown.
Dr. Michael Salla, born in Melbourne, Australia, he holds a PhD in government from the University of Queensland. Over his academic career, Salla served as a professor at American University in Washington, D.C., specializing in conflict resolution, diplomacy, and international politics. His research also wasn't limited to lecture halls. Salla actively engaged with policymakers, peace negotiations, and international diplomacy. But somewhere along the way, his path shifted dramatically. While many dismiss claims of alien visitation or government cover-ups, it's far harder to dismiss Dr. Salla himself. Salla was deeply respected, published in reputable journals, and taken seriously within his field. They don't exactly hand out PhDs and boxes of Cracker Jacks. Yet, he willingly stepped away from mainstream academia into a far more controversial territory. May 2001, National Press Club, Washington, D.C. A room packed with journalists, camera crews, and a lineup of military insiders. Among the crowd sat Dr. Salla, and that day he saw something he couldn't unsee. One by one, former intelligence officers, pilots, and government contractors stepped forward, calm, collected, and dead serious. They spoke of crashed UFOs, of recovered alien bodies, of secret programs buried so deep inside the military-industrial complex that even the president might not have full access. And none of them flinched. Dr. Salla was captivated. The witnesses were credible, men and women with security clearances, detailed logs, and first-hand involvement in operations that most people aren't even aware exist. He began researching these claims, cross-referencing whistleblower testimony with declassified documents, military records, and ancient historical narratives. What he found convinced him that the presence of extraterrestrial life and the political efforts to conceal it was not just a fringe theory, it was a buried reality. But the response from academia was swift and cold. He was told that his work had no place within the university. And in 2004, his position was terminated, and he became one of the first serious voices to suggest that we're not alone and that world governments have known this all along. In 2003, the world watched as American forces rolled into Iraq. Officially, it was about weapons of mass destruction, about preventing terrorism, about democracy. But what if that wasn't the whole story? What if buried beneath the ruins of ancient Mesopotamia, beneath the cradle of civilization itself, was something far more dangerous? Dr. Michael Salla was one of the first to suggest that the Iraq War may have had another hidden objective: to gain control over an ancient Stargate. The idea seems ripped from science fiction. Salla's theory draws on ancient Sumerian texts, Babylonian myths, and declassified government testimony from whistleblowers who claim the U.S. military has long been aware of portal technology left behind by non-human intelligences. According to these accounts, Iraq was once the domain of the Anunnaki, extraterrestrial beings who either created or heavily influenced early human civilization. The site in question? Uruk, one of the first major cities in human history. Some claim the U.S. invasion targeted the ancient city of Ur, the Ziggurat of Ur, and even the museum in Baghdad, which was looted within days of the invasion. Among the stolen or seized artifacts were tablets, cylinder seals, and relics inscribed with strange symbology, many tied directly to the myths of the Anunnaki and the gates of the gods. Multiple independent sources, some cited by Salla, others echoed in classified testimony and even remote viewing sessions, claim the U.S. military secured a buried device beneath Iraqi soil, a portal, a Stargate said to be dormant but recoverable, a device that allowed travel between worlds or dimensions. According to Salla and those aligned with this theory, the U.S. government feared that Saddam Hussein had either discovered this artifact or was attempting to activate it. Hussein was obsessed with Babylonian grandeur. He even rebuilt the ancient city's Ishtar Gate.
Who today remembers the legends of the grandeur that was ancient Babylon? President Saddam is one who does. Indeed, for the president of modern-day Iraq, ancient Babylon has more than mere historical significance. This is the southern palace of King Nebuchadnezzar. In the 6th century BC, he was the Middle East's top dog. And this is the throne room of King Nebuchadnezzar, the ruler of the greatest empire the world had known until this time. And he made sure that everyone did know about it too.
And you can see some inscription from the time of Nebuchadnezzar, which is still as it is. The translate of this inscription: I am Nebuchadnezzar, the king of the world. Reconstruct this building to my family and to my God. I hope to help me in the lower life, that's mean in the death life. He liked to put his stamp on all the bricks there in Babylon.
The palace was rebuilt by President Saddam. He sees Nebuchadnezzar as the first Iraqi revolutionary and a man to emulate. It says, in the era of President Saddam Hussein, all Babylon was reconstructed in 3 stages. From Nebuchadnezzar to Saddam Hussein, Babylon is rising again.
In 2003, German archaeologists announced a significant discovery in Iraq, what they believed to be the tomb of the legendary King Gilgamesh, a central figure in the ancient Sumerian epic bearing his name. Just 5 months later, Iraq was invaded by the United States. Amidst the ensuing conflict, the Iraq National Museum in Baghdad was looted. This looting wasn't a random act of chaos. It appeared to be a well-coordinated operation, employing shape charges and other professional techniques. Thousands of invaluable artifacts, including those with potential connections to the Anunnaki, were stolen. The figure of Gilgamesh is often depicted as a giant in ancient texts. Interestingly, there are modern accounts of soldiers encountering giant figures in the Middle Eastern deserts, sparking further speculation about the connections between ancient myths and contemporary events. Following the invasion, the U.S. military established a base in the ancient city of Babylon. This presence led to the destruction of some historical artifacts, and numerous items were taken from the site. It is widely believed that the military was searching for something of significant historical and possibly esoteric value. The city of Nimrud was founded more than 3,300 years ago. It was one of the capitals of the Assyrian Empire. The Iraqi government confirmed that the site was attacked by armed extremists using bulldozers on March 5, 2005. Why would so many powerful entities and governments go to such lengths to acquire or destroy these ancient Sumerian artifacts? What secrets could these relics hold? A Freedom of Information Act request revealed an email from a person named Denitris Senegar, sent to then Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. This email requested documents related to the resurrection chamber of Gilgamesh, the location of his body, and the buried Nephilim. These emails, which were later leaked through WikiLeaks between October 7th and November 4th, 2006, have since sparked widespread speculation and intrigue. Dr. Michael Salla has referenced several whistleblowers in relation to the alleged discovery of a Stargate in Iraq. While he often maintains the anonymity of his sources, some individuals have publicly shared their accounts. Dan Burish, a former microbiologist allegedly involved in secret government projects, claimed participation in a covert team tasked with locating portal technologies in Iraq. He asserted that the U.S. invasion aimed to secure ancient Stargate technology. Corey Goode, who also claims involvement in secret space programs, described ancient portals found globally, including in Iraq. He suggested that the U.S. sought these technologies during the Iraq invasion. In 1985, Saddam Hussein ordered the restoration of the Great Ziggurat of Ur. Even today, you can still see and use the massive stairways he had installed. He believed Ur was sacred ground, the place where gods once walked. According to the Sumerians, this was where the gods descended, ruled the earth, taught kings, built cities, and then vanished. The ziggurat was a beacon. During the restoration, workers uncovered sealed chambers, rooms not listed on any archaeological plans inside, strange inscriptions, symbols that didn't match Sumerian cuneiform, tools or objects made of unfamiliar alloys, burned glyphs resembling stars, gates, and spirals. The site was locked down, workers were reassigned, equipment removed under military escort. Whatever was found, it never saw the light of day again. After the invasion, the U.S. military did something strange. They built a base right on top of the Great Ziggurat of Ur. Not beside it, not near it, directly on top. The oldest temple in human history turned into a forward operating base. The official story? Logistics, proximity, coincidence. But the soldiers who were stationed there told a different story. They described areas of the site being cordoned off, patrolled, off limits. Archaeologists were removed, locals pushed out, cameras banned, sections of the ziggurat sealed, covered. One soldier said it felt like they weren't guarding a monument. They were guarding something inside it. If Saddam had found something beneath Ur, the U.S. came to take it. But what if the ziggurat was never just a temple? What if it was a machine? What if the ancients didn't just build monuments? They built terminals, interfaces to something larger, a Stargate Network, a grid of hidden technology buried beneath layers of myth and empire. Iraq was just one node, but a powerful one, and Saddam knew it. That's why he rebuilt Babylon, had his name carved into every stone, echoed the proclamations of Nebuchadnezzar. He believed Babylon was rising again, that the gate would open, and the world watched him. Ancient kings spoke of gods descending from the sky. Modern powers wage wars over ruins, and buried beneath it all is a secret no one is supposed to find. Maybe it's just myth. Maybe it's buried truth. But whatever was uncovered in the deserts of Iraq, whatever Saddam found beneath the ziggurats and temples, it was enough to rewrite history. And maybe that's why they had to burn it. We were told the Iraq War was about weapons of mass destruction. We were told it was about oil, about terrorism, about freedom. But what if that was just the surface? What if it was about something older, something buried? The tomb of Gilgamesh, a resurrection chamber, a stargate, locked behind the gates of Babylon. The whispers are always the same. Artifacts taken, sites sealed, records scrubbed. And the world moves on, never asking why. They told us the Anunnaki were just myth. They told us the gods never came. But maybe they were here. Maybe they left something behind. And maybe, just maybe, someone found it. Saddam believed he was chosen to finish what the old kings began. And if that belief was based on something real, then the war wasn't about controlling the future. It was about rewriting the past, or worse, unsealing it. The story isn't over, because the ziggurats are still there, and whatever's sleeping beneath them hasn't woken up yet.